neurologically, when we're in stress, it shuts down part of the brain. There's actually a junction in the brain called the locus ceruleus. And it's actually when we're stressed, we can't access our locus ceruleus. And the locus ceruleus is actually a gateway to retained information. So it's really funny that we put kids through exams, because we get them to learn all this stuff. And then we put them into a stressful situation such as an exam, and even the lead up to an exam where we're study. Maybe they're lacking sleep, blah, blah, blah. We put them in a room. They've got to be quiet. They can't do anything. They're under all this pressure. There's a lot riding on that exam. And of course, their locus ceruleus shuts down and they can't perform as well as they could if they actually were able to be assessed in a different way. And we don't really, I don't know about you guys, but outside of university, once I left, I really haven't had anyone put me into an exam situation since then, right? So it's not even really a real life situation where you're in that state. So now I did really well at exams, but I realized afterwards why, because I actually just enjoyed, I'd go in there and I'd set up my little table with all my bits and pieces. I'd take snacks because we were allowed to take snacks. So I thought that was awesome. And my water bottle and all that sort of stuff. And I just created a little space for myself. And I just go, right, well, here I am. And I'm here to just, download onto the paper, whatever it is they're asking of me. So I framed it up differently. I didn't realize I was doing it. So I actually did really well. But most people don't. They struggle because it's a stressful situation. And there's a lot of definitions, meanings, thoughts, and feelings riding on that situation. Now, if we transpose that to us as creators, if you're stressed about something or is stressed about your choice or whatever, you can't access anything new. But not only that, you can't even access your whole range of information that you've already learned. So you've got a very limited pool of information that you can access, and it's mostly based around your survival. So, of course, it's going to feel stuck and heavy and horrible. So if you just think of it from a neurological point of view, I find that fascinating, by the way. But when we go into tension and we reframe it, then we've got access to everything. We've got our intuition. We've got more of the things that we actually know academically. We can let go some of the emotional impact of it, and we can have a whole new experience of that.
When you see what's coming up in your thoughts and feelings in your current reality, and that it is so different, and you have a bridging action, the bridging action relates to what you're going for, and actually has got nothing to do with that current dealing with or addressing those current reality conditions. So they are so different, aren't they? And if you get into trying to address current reality, that's a whole different ballgame then, because you're into trying to resolve things, trying to, so they're significantly different structures. And that's a great point. True. You can't be going both ways at the same time. So you're either building momentum that way or that way. And the interesting thing is, if you notice that you've been, downward spiraling, at any moment you can be aware of that and then choose the other. You don't have to wait for another, I need to build some momentum over 2 weeks' time or whatever. It's just can be quite immediate. And where you are experiencing that momentum, I realized I shifted and I've been feeling some, great momentum since that point. And it's like that, it can be quite quick.
Yeah, that's right. Well done. And the thing is, we can polarize into an area. And if we're unconscious, we'll tend to polarize down in the negative stress end of things. In the Kybalion, they talk about vibration and polarizing and all this sort of stuff. And it's really interesting because I often think about if we polarize into the negative, and really unconsciously, we're 70% more biased towards the negative than the positive. I don't know if you know that, but it actually is. But the universe is actually stacked the other way in our favor. It's actually 30% negative and 70% positive, which is really funny. Anyway, but if we polarize there, and that's how life is, that's how life becomes. The fish doesn't know it's in the ocean, and we're in that, and we think that's how the world is, how life is, how it's just going to be from there on in. So our job as creators is actually we can masterfully polarize more and more often into the other end, into that creative tension end. And it actually says in the Kybalion, let me just read the quote: "He who understands the principle of vibration has grasped the scepter of power." Because you've got the power over your own life to bring yourself to that polarized point on the spectrum up there. So we talk about being creatively orientating to what we love, and tapping into the vibration of that. So how powerful is that? Amazing. People think, oh, no, I'm doing it wrong because I'm still doing that thing. But no, that's the first step. Awareness. Awareness is the first step. You start seeing it, you start calling it, and then you can move on. So, and all it is you've just been polarized at one end, and now we get to polarize somewhere else. So now you've today had a clearer distinction between the two, and you can recognize, am I in this polar or I'm in this one? And I'll just, this is where I want to be. And notice, and just keep adjusting and noticing and adjusting and noticing. Before you know it, you'll be in tension all the time. And very rarely will you ever be in stress, which is awesome. It's not going to be a stress-free life, but we don't want one of those either. We want the whole spectrum of life, but we're going to be more in our tension and less in our stress.
Yeah, if you went to the gym and you didn't feel anything, it'd be a pretty floppy old session. Yeah. Didn't know that you're doing something.
Today. Just remember, confusion is just volatility, and we want to make the fixed volatile in order to create the new and create and fix the new. So confusion's awesome. I love confusion.
It's that sense of disorientation, isn't it? And we kind of, if you don't make it mean anything, like you did, Vina, when I'm just going to be with it, I'm just going to observe, see what. So then you suspended making it mean anything, and then it's like, oh shit, there it is.
Yeah.
So well done.
Beautiful. Well done.